the story I'm getting ready to tell you is probably one of my most kind of scary stories, mixed with some positive, some bad. But Timmy has an older brother who's now 13, but at the time when this happened, he was 11 and Timmy was 8. And my older son wanted to play football, so he was in a football league. And so he had practice every single day. And it was really difficult because my husband was working, and also we had a daughter who was a baby. So I would be taking her, Timmy, and then Paul would be practicing. And I would have to deal with Timmy at the football field. And Timmy was a runner. Timmy would run anywhere. We would take him all sorts of places. He would be gone in like 3 seconds. And we used the tether thing where we tethered him to us. We tried to discipline him, but he was really hard to take places like this. So on this particular day, I had taken him, his sister, and his older brother to the football field for practice. It was a huge complex. They had like 3 different fields. They had a high school. They had a skateboard park, they had a playground, and all of this was in one huge complex. So I was with his older brother, and his older brother was having trouble with his helmet. And so I had my daughter in the stroller, and then I had Timmy, who was next to me, and then I was helping my older son with his helmet. And the helmet, we were having trouble getting on, couldn't get it on. Finally, I got it on, and I turned around. Timmy was gone. He was out, he was nowhere to be seen. And I was like, oh my gosh, so I'm turning around, I'm hoping that he's just like gotten within a few feet of me. And I turn around and I'm looking and he's nowhere. And then I start calling out his name, and I had my daughter in the stroller, so I was having to take the stroller with me. And I was calling out, and I was asking any of the other parents, have they seen Timmy? And they were like, no, we haven't seen Timmy. We don't know where Timmy is. We haven't seen him. And so now I'm starting to get that panicky feeling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not good. So I'm trying to start to think about, because he's been doing this since he was 2, and I'm starting to think, where would he go? And I'm thinking, I think he's at the skateboard park, because he would just like to sit and watch the skateboards go up and down the thing. So that's where I head. I head over to the skateboard park. And I get there, and sure enough, that's where he is. He's sitting there watching the skateboarders. And, I'm just so happy that he's, okay, and that he didn't try to cross a busy road or do anything like that. And, I'm hugging him, and just as I start hugging him, this police car pulls up, and this police officer comes out, and he goes, are you the parent of this child? And I said, yes. And he said, well, we just had some concerned parents that said this child had been left unattended for a very long time, and that we needed to come and deal with this. And I said, well, he did run away, and he was out of my sight. He was probably out of my sight for about 20 minutes by the time I discovered him. But by the time I looked around, for a while, and then started trying to figure out where he was. So I said, yes, he was unattended for 20 minutes. And the police officer said, well, that's not acceptable. He said, you just can't leave your child for 20 minutes. And I said, well, it's a kind of a long story. And I started trying to explain to him that I was with my older son, I turned around, he was gone. And so as I was explaining this, another police car, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in a lot of trouble. And this King County sheriff got out, and he came over to the other police officer. And so then I decided, okay, I'm gonna have to tell him he has autism, So I said, well, my son has autism, and he runs away all the time, and we do our best to kind of deal with that. But, sometimes he gets away from us, and, I was here as soon as I figured out where I thought he would be. And I said, this is a huge complex. There's so many places he could have been. And I said, I found him. And so the other police officer, the King County guy, he was super nice. The other guy was like ready to arrest me. And then the other guy was like, he goes, haven't you heard about autism? And the guy goes, well, no, not really. He goes, yes, this is what the children with autism do. And I could tell that the King County guy had been educated on autism. And he said, yes, they run away all the time. He said, you know, parents, it's not the parents' fault. It's not like the parents neglected them or purposely lost them. He said they just run away, they just escape. And so the SeaTac police officer, he was like, oh, he goes, I didn't know that. You know, and so he said, she's here with him now. I said, I don't see what the big deal is. So then they let me, you know, they let me go. But it really scared me. It really, really, really scared me.